Welcome, Intuition Lab, part one of emotional intelligence. So today we are going to be talking about emotions, emotional intelligence, and how important that is as a language. So just like if you were watching body sensations for the past couple weeks, it is a language unto itself, and so is your emotional body as well. It is constantly giving you information about if you are aligned, if you're on your path or not on your path. It's helping you make decisions. It's helping you know whether you should be engaging with somebody or not. So it's telling you all kinds of things about people, places, and things in your environment and if you should stay or go. So we're going to be talking more about that for the rest of the time, and just the awareness of your emotional body and about the vocabulary of your emotional body. But first I want to let Stephen talk to you a little bit about what is the difference between feelings and emotions, because there is a difference.
So have you ever noticed that in any particular moment, you have maybe more than one feeling, right? You could feel sad, and you can feel a little anxiety, and you can feel excited, and all of that is happening in the background for you. And then sometimes you get to choose one feeling over other feelings, and once you choose it and engage in it, it becomes an emotion. So for example, you can feel frustrated and anger in the background, but the more you think about what you're angry about, you actually mobilize the feeling into an emotion, and now you're angry. So that is a conscious choice, could be. For most people it's not, and the ability to distinguish between the feelings and the activation into emotion, that by itself is a great conscious tool to help you make decisions. How many times you've asked people, how are you? And they say, I'm good.
All the time.
All the time, right?
Good.
I'm good. Yeah. And what is good? Good is not actually a feeling, is it? Good is, well, you associate it with positive feelings, and you might not even know how you're really feeling. So the words of the feelings really matter. They matter not because they describe the feeling so much, but they give you access to the brain to connect the very specific feeling or an emotion you're experiencing, and able to acknowledge it, communicate it, and share it. So for example, I could say I'm happy, and it's just one feeling or an emotion, depending on how activated that is. But I can also choose other words. For example, I can say, instead of joyful, I am maybe amused, which is a little different than joyful, or delighted, or glad, happy, jubilant, pleased. So you have all of those varieties, and they give you access to that information of what is your body, or what is your emotional body telling you about a situation, about people. And what is it for? It is really to make decisions. So typically, the basic level, when you feel excited and positive feelings, or expanded or attracted, then it's an indication that you are more in alignment with whatever the situation is, the person you're talking to, or the challenge you're facing, or whatever that is. The other side of it is when you're feeling contracted and big aversion to a topic or people. It's indicating that there's something not in alignment for you, and you can make choices based on that. What would be examples that you have experienced of those kind of situations, and how feelings have informed you of a decision to make?
Yeah, I mean, I want, and you think of one yourself as you're on here. Think about maybe something that's happened in the last few days that you felt really positive about, and was that something that helped you align to a decision, or that you felt aligned on your path, and vice versa if you weren't feeling aligned this week with something. If you were feeling pissed off about something, or you were feeling frustrated about something, or sad about something, what was going on at that time, and was it because you were slightly out of alignment? So let's see. Something that's happened for me this week. So I'm going through a family situation right now, and it's really easy. I got really frustrated, and that was because I was not speaking my truth. I was a little bit it gave me information that I was out of alignment. I wasn't speaking up. I wasn't saying exactly what was true for me or what I needed, because I didn't want to hurt somebody's feelings, or I didn't want to get my family mad at me. And so when that happens, I was totally out of alignment. So I was feeling frustrated and anxious and totally discombobulated. And as soon as I started to speak my truth, then I came back into alignment, and my emotions completely changed. I started to feel more calm and even happy. So those emotions are constantly giving you information to let you know if you are on your path, if you are making decisions that are aligned with your business or your life or your relationship. So it is great information, and the more that you have the ability to expand that vocabulary, like Stephen was giving you examples of all the different types of words that you can use for joy that all have a little different essence to them, that when you start expanding your vocabulary and using those different words on a regular basis, it actually expands your ability to make more and more clear decisions, and more quickly as well. Like the more that as soon as you catch yourself going into a state that doesn't feel that good, it's a really quick indication that something is a little off. And so the faster that you can realize that, the faster you can come back.
So here's the good news. You're already doing it naturally. We're all doing it naturally. Your emotional body or your emotional intelligence is informing your decision making already every single day. We're just not aware of it as much for most of us. Yeah. Now, what is the awareness gives you is better choice, because if you're not aware and not listening to the messages you're getting, well, you might make decisions that are not in alignment for you. And we all do those, and we regret them, yes?
Yes, regularly.
Still. Yeah. Yeah. So the key thing is to know that you're already wired to sense emotions and feelings and to have a reaction to the environment, and that intelligence is a built-in hardware you already have. And by activating the awareness of it and using and practicing it more, it will allow you to bring those decisions to an awareness, and that awareness gives you choices that otherwise you would not know you've had.
Very true. Very true. So one of the practices we would like to invite you to practice this week is to start expanding your vocabulary. So many of us use very simple language for our emotions: happy, sad, frustrated, angry. And so my invitation to you is to start expanding that. If you feel happy, what other words go along with that emotion besides just happy? Is it jubilant? Is it blissful? Blissful and happy are totally different. They feel different. Even just think about that in your own body right now. Happy is oh yeah, I'm happy, and blissful is ecstatic. So start recognizing what are some of the other words that you can use for the emotions that you're feeling, and even just start paying attention to what you're feeling in the first place. Oftentimes we're walking around kind of shoving all of the emotions down, especially if it's an emotion that isn't extremely comfortable. It's very easy to want to be oh, I'll deal with that tomorrow. I'll deal with that later. But the more that we do that, the more anxiety we create. I always like to liken it to shaking a Coke can and not popping the top. It's you have all of this energy and stuff trapped in your body and you're not releasing it. So really getting into the practice of being aware of the emotion, naming the emotion, and then allowing that emotion to release. So expressing it in some way. And sometimes just naming it is all that you need to do. It's just enough to release the energy within you.
Now, what we find that's really interesting in working with the emotional intelligence with many people is that some people have blind spots. Blind spots are those emotions that you do not give yourself permission to feel, sense, express. They're not there. So some people are very comfortable with the positive emotions, right, very uncomfortable with the negative emotions. And then within them, there are gaps that, I never expressed that feeling or that emotion. And what we found is that those gaps are really important to recognize, because every time you have a gap of not noticing or expressing a feeling, then it bottles up like that bottle, right? It just bottles up within. I found that a while back anger was definitely not
That's one of mine too.
my go-to expressing.
It's one of mine too.
And I just held it back because I don't want to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
I would feel it, I would recognize that I'm angry, but I would try to ignore it because it's not a comfortable feeling for me. I'm definitely not expressing it. So those gaps are beautiful areas to explore and ask yourself, what are some of the emotions and feelings I'm ignoring or not giving a name or expressing, or I don't even know that I have them.
And the most important part of this, since this is Intuition Lab, when you have those gaps, it is actually keeping a kink in the hose to the divine. And when you're not allowing those things to express, it is actually keeping you disconnected from your intuition, because there's something underneath the surface that's keeping you disconnected from being able to truly listen to your intuition coming through. So it's really important to start uncovering those gaps and start feeling all of those emotions that you have. We have like a huge palette.
Yeah, and the other aspect of it is judgment. How many of you are judging how you're feeling? You shouldn't feel that way. You shouldn't feel happy. You shouldn't feel angry. Everything is good. Why are you feeling tired, right? So the judgment on feelings is another way that we are inhibiting our connection to the information we get from the feelings. How many of you have ever felt depressed and have a really hard time admitting it to yourself? Not to speak, of course, of others. And by not connecting to that, you are depriving yourself from the information, the emotional intelligence information that comes to you from feeling depressed. Because depression tells you something, right? And if you're like, oh, it's uncomfortable, I don't want to go there, I'm too afraid of feeling depressed, I am anyway, but now you're not getting the information you need to get from that. So the judgment on feelings is a big practice that we see very, very widely used by so many people. They even say that, well, I shouldn't feel it, but I'm angry. Right? People say that.
Or it doesn't make sense. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm feeling...
Doesn't matter, really.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't matter, or it doesn't make sense, or like we need to justify. Like it's not okay for us to feel negative feelings. Like if you feel great, oh, that's just amazing, everybody loves us. If you feel depressed, like nobody's going to talk to us, so I'm going to hold it in and I'm not going to share that. Yeah. Right? We do that.
And then it just grows anyway.
It grows, yes. It's the inauthenticity that we develop because of our own judgment of our own feelings.
So for the next week until next week, please practice expanding your vocabulary. And yes, Margie, I will put a list of more feelings and emotions so that you can start growing your vocabulary as well, because I realize that many of us don't have the words. And so I think it is helpful to have a list just to start educating yourself on some other words. And when you're feeling happy, go to the list and look at what are some other ways that I might be able to describe this feeling that I'm having. So I'm happy to do that. Just maybe give me a day, just so you know. And so start practicing expanding your vocabulary, as well as just becoming aware, and also start naming it. Finding ways to let it out so that the balloon doesn't start growing and growing until it pops, but every day you're letting the air out of the balloon a little by little, so that you have more expansiveness, you have more space to bring in exactly what you want to. When we're full up with our emotions, there's no space. So practice connecting and naming and expressing over the next week.
And next time someone asks you how you're feeling,
don't say good. Well, you can, but try to use something else.
Yeah. Well, and answering that question takes a moment to check in, right? We typically speak so fast, like, hi, how are you? Yeah, good. Just boom. And then how you feel, like, oh, I don't know, give me a moment, and then we check in, like, I'm feeling nervous. Okay, got it. Right? Yeah. It's just that.
Yes, it doesn't have to be a long, drawn-out conversation either.
Yeah.
So you guys have a great week this week. Feel free to let us know if you have any other questions. Drop them in the comments. I will come back in here and look and see if you guys have questions along the way. Also, feel free to join our Create X community as well, where there will be more conversation happening there. And our next Create X event, where we will specifically be delving into emotions even more, is on September 12th from 6:15 to 8:45 at the Origin Hotel in Golden, for those of you who are local here in Colorado. So we have that as a monthly event. So we would love to see you on September 12th as well.
Be happy.
All right. Yeah. Be jubilant. Have a great day.